What's up, folks? In this video, we're going to learn how to study and learn and do research using Claude 3.5 Sonnet and its new feature, artifacts. So we're going to be covering examples like, how to summarize a PDF, how to turn a PDF into an interactive app, how to turn a PDF into slides, and a bunch of other interesting examples that I think are going to be cool to test out and experiment so that you see what kind of stuff works for you when you're trying to learn something new, when you're trying to, quickly internalize a lot of knowledge or trying to do some research on a topic you're interested in, so on and so forth. So the first one is about summarizing a paper. So I'm just going to click here on add content. I'm going to go to my the folder here with the paper. I'm going to be loading this paper, which is the Attention is All You Need paper, classic paper in AI. And what I'm going to be asking the model is just to summarize the paper. So summarize this paper into a set of instructive bullet points. You can do that in many different ways. So now we run it and we get as you predicted, and this is something that you can do anywhere, right? You get a nice little summary of the paper. Pretty easy, pretty simple, nothing crazy. Now, a cooler thing we could do is to say, okay, turn this paper into an interactive dashboard app where I can navigate through an interface containing rich interactive information that teaches me about the contents of the paper. Something along these lines. Obviously, this is something that we're going to iterate based on the paper, the amount of pages in the paper, the type of knowledge, etc. And we should specify what kind of, rich tools we want. However, this is pretty cool. Now we're going to run this, and this is what we get. Now, the Claude AI is going to be using its artifacts tool, which I really like, which opens up this little window here on the right where we can actually we can see the code that's being written, and we can inspect the app in the end, which is what we get here. Look at that. We get a really cool, really little simple app where we can navigate through like an overview of the paper, architecture, results, and in the results we even get oh, this is pretty cool. This is a dashboard data from the paper. We can actually inspect that this is true. So let's take a look at these scores on these two data sets, 41.8, 28.4. These are the blue scores, which is a reference to the translation task described in the paper. We can go back, we can go to the paper. I actually can open up the paper here on my computer, so I can go to where the paper is, and then I can open up that paper, and I can look up blue scores, and we can see 41.8, and then in the English to French translation task, 28.4 on the WMT task. So let's take a look. 28.4 on the ENDE. All right. Let's see. ENDE. Okay, ENDE. There you go. 28.4 and English French 41.8. So these results are correct, and they're a reference to the values found in this table 2 of the paper, which I really like. I think this is the coolest. And if we go here on conclusion, future work, we see a few things. Now, super simple. However, you can take this idea and really turn it into something of your own, right? You could ask Claude AI and build interactively some specific features on each of these subpages that might contain specific information that you want to understand more about the paper itself, which I think is just like so cool. Like, for example, we can get ideas from the actual paper, right? I can look at this paper and say, okay, let me see, scaled up product attention, moody head attention. We can take, for example, the position-wise feed-forward networks, and we can say, we can copy this part. I'm going to just take a picture. So I'm just going to take a picture of this part. I'm going to come here and say, can you explain, can you integrate into this dashboard app a section that explains to me the position-wise feed-forward networks equation. The position-wise feed-forward network equation shown in the image above. And then I just paste that image here. And let's see what happens, right? Let's see if we can get this dashboard app to integrate like even this into its representation of the contents of the PDF. This is concerning me because it's saying previous content remains the same. So it means that we're not going to get, so this might be an issue. Yeah. Let's try that again. Okay. So it didn't work first time. So let's just say try again and let's see what happens. All right. Looking good so far. Nope. Still saying this previous right. I'm going to say, remember to include this without taking shortcuts so that I can visualize the entire app. All right, so that it doesn't write this previous content remains the same, etc. So let's take a look and see what happens. So now it's generating some React code. That's pretty cool. So let's see what kind of stuff we get and what does it look like. Okay. There we go. All right. So this is pretty cool. So now we have the previous pages that we were talking about before. Beautiful. And now we have feed-forward networks. This is pretty nice. So it's a full breakdown explanation integrated into this app with some key points, etc. I mean, I wish I was seeing some sort of interactive visualization, but I mean, this is pretty cool. All right, perfect. So we've talked about the idea of summarizing paper, turning it into an interactive app. How about a set of slides, right? We could do that. So maybe let's start a new session with Claude AI. I'm going to add the same paper again, and then I'm going to say, go through this paper, turn this paper about transformers into a slide deck containing all the information from the paper, well organized and summarized. Make sure to add slides for each major section of the paper. All right, so let's try that and let's see what happens. So now we go and we do that. So now we're going to be generating again. We're going to be generating the code, and then we're going to be interacting with the code to see if there are things that we would like to change. So now we're going to wait for a sec, and let's see what we get. It seems like we're generating some cool slides. All right, so we generated a not so good looking slide deck, but it does seem to have all the information from the paper summarized. Let's take, I'd say that I'd like to pass through this like a slide deck. So make changes so I can navigate through the slides a bit better. All right, that's not a great prompt because I'm saying things like a bit better, but let's take a look and see what happens. So now we're generating the React code again, and yeah, that's pretty cool. So now we generated a little slide deck that we can navigate through. I think this is pretty cool because it's just a different way to represent information and the data from the paper. And it feels very, it just feels very fun to like read a paper like that, right? Where, I mean, maybe you want to have a first look at a paper, but you don't want to go through the actual PDF for whatever reason. So I think that the fact that we have now accessible to us this easily, these types of representations of information is super cool, rich, amazing. And I mean, I could even integrate a quiz app into the slide deck. I can say, great, now turn this slide deck into a dashboard app. Okay, so now create a quiz app containing 5 relevant questions, 5 relevant multiple choice questions about the paper, and make sure to include, to make sure to make this app interactive. And when a user clicks on the answer, it should see a justification for why is it correct or not. At the end, the user should see its overall score and have a chance to try again. All right, so let's see about that. So now we see that the model is generating the questions. We have the alternatives, etc. I mean, ideally, if we were going to turn this into something we actually use, we would separate the data with the questions from the app itself so that we could, have more control over the generation of the questions, etc. All right, that's pretty cool. So I really love this type of application. So what's the main innovation transform model? It relies on attention mechanisms. So it's correct. You see it's green, and then the explanation. That's pretty cool. How many layers does transformer encoder consist of? How many layers does transformer encoder consist of? You have the position encoding layer, embedding layer, attention. Let's check out the paper and see. Let's see, encoder. Positional encoder. So encoder, I'd say this is a bit, how many identical layers does transformer encoder consist of? So multi-head. So 1, 2, 3. I think 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3. I'd say maybe 4. No. Encoder is composed of a stack of n equal to 6 identical layers. Okay, so let's see about that. Okay, so the encoder, so we see here identical layer. Encoder is composed of a stack of n6 identical layers, each with 2 sublayers. First is multi-head and decursion. Okay, all right. Encoder is a stack of n equal to 6 layers. All right, so here is the justification for that. I would like this to be a bit better in terms of the question itself, but fine. What type of attention does transformer use? It does multi-head attention. Yep. What is used for position encoding? Position embeddings, sine cosine function. I think it's sine cosine functions. Yep. Which test did transform achieve a new state-of-the-art blue score? English to French. What was it? Was it English to German? Yeah, English to German. Let's check that out. English to French. Okay, so on our model achieves improve your reasoning, including ensembles. So state of the art. Let's look up state of the art. And let's see which task, because I think the transformer achieves scores in previous state-of-the-art models on the English to German and English to French. So this one was actually correct. So this would be where we can iterate, right? Because this alternative had 2 possible answers, right? So English to French and English to German. But that's all right. And then we get a little score at the end and we can try again. So you can see the point, right? So this is pretty cool. So we've talked about PDF summary, PDF into interactive app, PDF into slides, and quizzing from a paper. Let's talk about diagram from pieces of text. This is one that I really like. So imagine, let's see that we're reading this paper, right? And we want a diagram of a part of the paper where maybe we have a series of procedures. It doesn't have to be this paper though. Imagine it's a brief, how to use it. Okay, so imagine we have something like, I don't know, building LLMs. Okay, this is an example. This is an article that I like to use for this example. Yeah, this is a series of, now usually you have these bullet points with procedures in articles and papers and books, etc. What if we could create a visual diagram every time you have something like this to make it easy to visualize? So we can come here and we can say, okay, oh wait, we gotta go back to Claude, and then we can say, okay, let's create a new chat, and then we can say create a diagram, create an aesthetically pleasing diagram from the following text, and then we can specify the text, and we can check that out and see what happens. So now we're looking at it, and then here we are. Beautiful, we're generating a nice flowchart. We got an error, so let's try that again. It's actually not a flowchart, it's a diagram from this text. So let's take a look, and there we go. That's pretty cool. So we can come in here and we can see, let's take a look and see what's up. So we can see now follow-up items. This is pretty cool. Okay, let's improve this diagram a bit. Make the diagram, make the text in the diagram with higher contrast, so it is easier to read, because some of those nodes are not very readable, right? Especially the ones in pink or purple. So let's do that, and let's take a look again. Okay, we got an error. So try again. There was a syntax error. And now let's take a look. Okay, that's annoying. That never happens, but of course it's going to happen now. So let's try again. And okay, so that one you did a mistake. So let's just refeed the original prompt, and let's take a look to see what happens. Okay, so let's refresh this browser here, and let's create a simple and aesthetic pleasing diagram that illustrates the procedure described here. So we're going to change a little bit the prompt just to see if we can get a better result on this diagram generation. And there we go. We get something nice, which has all the data from the text itself. So you start, you create a sketchpad, list decisions, follow-up items, associated owners, check consistency, synthesize summary, transcript, end. Beautiful. So now this makes much more sense with the text, and it's visually appealing, which I really like, right? And this is something that we can use to do all sorts of stuff, which is pretty cool, right? We can now take a look at examples like generation of high quality research reports. I think that because Claude AI doesn't have online research, it makes it a little bit trickier. But for example, if we wanted to create, for example, what if we wanted to create, this is one that I really like, the learning apps. So imagine this, let's take this diagram, let's take a diagram from the paper, from this paper. There you go. So let's take this image, okay? And what we would like to do is we would like to take this image and we would like to be able to generate an app that allows us to hide out parts of the image so we can test ourselves in the content of the image itself. That's something that in Anki flashcards, there's something called a graph deletion feature, which allows you to do that. And it's super helpful when you want to do recall and test yourself and learn something about either text or an image, but especially for image in this case. So let's say create a simple graph deletion app that allows the user to upload an image and then create black rectangles over parts of that image, and then click on test to test oneself one rectangle at a time, and then see a score at the end. Let's see if that works. Let's take a look. I've actually tested this example a while back, so I think it's a cool, little interesting example of something we could do. All right, so we had an error, but that's okay. We can just refeed the error here to Claude AI, and we can take a look. So now it's redoing it. It's generating the code, and hopefully we'll be able to have these simple features pretty quickly. Nice, perfect. So now we're going to choose a file. We're going to choose this image that I already have here prepared. And now, well, let's see if we can create the rectangles, right? So I'm going to, yes, we can. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to hide it here, and I'm also going to hide it here. So now I've created 3 rectangles. So now let's click on Start Test. And that's pretty bad. Start Test. Next, next, next. Okay. So the only issue now is that the test, instead of starting with a hidden area and then asking the user what is hidden here, is showing everything, and then when you click on next, it's replacing the rectangles on top. So let's ask the model to fix that issue. So let's say right now the test feature shows the original image, and when the user clicks on next, the rectangles are shown one at a time, overlaid. Fix this so the app looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing, and the test feature should display the image with one of the rectangles on top at a time. Then the app should request input from the user to go to the next, to request for input from the user to check if the user got it right on each rectangle, and then at the end it should show a score and an option to either restart or upload another image. All right, it's a lot of changes to ask at once, but let's see if the model can handle. So now let's see if that fixes our little simple app. And why am I talking about this? Because I really like these very small scale learning apps that can help you get something very specific done, so that you can, build on top of that. So I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to choose this image. So I have the image right here. So I'm going to say, I'm going to hide 3 areas. I'm going to hide this one. I'm going to hide this one. And I'm going to hide this one. And then I'm going to click on Start Text. And then, is this correct? Type correct or not? That doesn't make any sense. Next. Okay. So, so now it's showing that specific section instead of showing the entire image. I see the problem. Okay. So let's fix that. So let's say, make it so that the full image is shown with just one rectangle at a time during the test part, instead of showing a cropped version of the original image, because this area is too small to display the original image with the hidden area. So let's make another fix. Now, of course, folks, this is just a demonstration, right? The cool thing about this app is that the cool thing about this feature of artifacts is that you can do that with whatever you want to make at that particular moment that you find interesting, cool, etc. Right? And it's so simple because it's just like you're talking to the process of generating something that might help you learn something new, etc. So I think this is pretty awesome. So now I'm going to upload an image and then beautiful. And now I'm going to hide three parts. I'm going to hide here, I'm going to hide here, and then I'm going to hide right here. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to start a test and come on. Nope. That's annoying. Upload a new image. So let's see. Let's see if we make it a bit smaller. Start a test. Oh, wait, we can't start a test. So 1 and 2. And now we start a test. Still not perfect. Whatever. I mean, not all of these are going to be perfect, and we would, continue to iterate to get to like something a little bit better. But I think it's pretty cool overall, the ability to do these kinds of interactive apps. Now, another interesting thing that we could do in terms of learning new things is to improve upon this idea of recall and quizzing yourself over information. So imagine this. Imagine we have some content like that paper that we were talking about, right? And I mean, maybe I want to create a quiz app. But what I would like to do is to first create a bunch of questions. So let's say this, create 20 questions, 20 rich questions containing, let's not say 20, let's say 10 rich questions that comprise most of the main information in the paper. And let's do that first. So I'm going to say that. Let's create some rich questions about the paper. Key innovation of the model, faster training. Okay, so we got the 10 questions. So now we're going to copy those, right? We're going to copy those. And we're going to say, okay, now create a simple quiz app that that contains these questions, okay, with their corresponding answers upon input from the user. Make sure that when the user gives an answer, clicks on an answer, let's say, when the user clicks on an answer, it should show a justification accompanying a reference from the original text paper to validate that answer, to make it easy for us to check that the questions and answers created were actually correct. Also, add an option to download each question if the user wants. Make it a button as an Anki card format, like this. And then the Anki card format is like this. You have the front question, and then you have this, what is it called? Comma? I think it's comma. I don't remember. And now back answer. And then let's see what happens. So what are we doing here? We're going beyond just, quiz me with some 5 random questions from the PDF. We're actually asking we're creating quickly an interactive app that contains the quizzing feature, the reference with original PDF text, and the option to download each question. Maybe we like the question, we want to, recall that again for like some exam or something, as an Anki card that we can upload to Anki Web, which is an app that, if you don't know, allows you to recall information by testing yourself and using a spaced repetition system to, remember the questions and answers. So pretty cool app. So now we had an error, so I'm going to refeed the error to see if the model can fix it. And let's see if we can actually create our little app. So let's take a look and let's see what happens. So it's creating everything. That's pretty cool. So it's getting all the justifications and the references, which is awesome. This might be a big task because there's a lot of questions and on, but I think that we might be able to get this thing done. So let's see. All right, still getting some mistakes. So let's try that again. Beautiful. So now let's see. Key innovation of transformer model. We have previous, show answer next, and download Anki card. So this is awesome, right? So the key innovation transformer model is attention mechanism, relying solely on attention mechanisms. Yes, so we got it right. And then the justification based solely on attention mechanisms, which we can copy here. We can go to the original PDF. We can do Control F. We can hit that, and we can see the part of the PDF that contains that information. So we can check, which is awesome, right? We can go to the, and now let's go to the next question. So how does the transformer achieve faster training? Good question. I have no idea. Allows for more parallelization, and then, all right, so that's a bit of a shallow question. So let's go to the next one. Main components of transformer architecture. So I have position encodings, embedding layer, encoder-decoder architecture, decoder, attention mechanism. That's pretty good. Let's download this question. Download an Anki card. So I just click on download. Let's see if we actually downloaded something. Click on download. Download does not seem to be working. Let's take a look. Designing, panorama. Yeah, so nope. So let's fix the download Anki card button, even though the rest is looking pretty good. So this app is great. Make it look a bit nicer and fix the download Anki card button so that it works. So let's see if we can get that done. And this is a pretty complex app to create out of just thin air, right? And imagine the ability to have this type of powerful, flexible interaction with the contents of a paper out of the box. I mean, it's, in my book, this is pretty insane. This is pretty amazing. So let's see. Okay, this is looking much nicer. Show an answer. Look at that. Beautiful. And now let's click on download Anki card. Okay, download, 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 download. And let's see if we can actually downloaded something. It doesn't seem like we downloaded anything. Okay, so let's inspect the code for the download stuff. Download Anki card. And it seems like the issue is more... Okay. So let's see. Transformer something? No, it's not here. Okay, so let's just ask to fix the download Anki card button so that it downloads the file to my downloads folder on my Mac. Let's see if that works. Let's see if now we get something. I mean, we get a bar to see how well we're doing. This is amazing, right? And let's see if we can get this part with a download Anki card part running, which would be really cool. Okay, I see the issue. The issue seems to be that we're gonna have some previous, no. We're gonna have to ask the model, we're gonna reprompt the model again. Make sure to write the entire code and not add any sections saying previous code or anything like that. Okay, so let's save that. And now let's see if we can actually get the final version of this app, which contains the proper download button, which would be really neat. So let's take a look. I mean, we are generating a few questions. We're generating less questions, which I understand. It's fine. It doesn't have to have all the 10 original questions. Okay, beautiful. Show the answer. We have perfect. Download Anki card. Download, download. Let's see. Download. Let's see. Download. Show the answer. Okay. Show the answer. This is looking pretty good. Show the answer. Okay, so let's see if we actually downloaded something. Nah, the download button doesn't seem to be working. I don't know why, but this would be something that we can iterate, right? And I think that this is a really great feature, and the capability of creating these interactive apps to do things like recall, testing, plotting visualizations. I think it's the next level of being able to learn complex information. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Cheers.